Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. The heads of an inquiry into child sexual abuse in Tasmania will deliver their closing address tomorrow. The landmark probe of the state's failings has been spurred on by the bravery of those who spoke up. Now awaiting the report's release, they're demanding this isn't the end of the road.
In May 2019, Tiffany Skeggs did something that would change her life and help change Tasmania's course. She reported her abuser, an LGH nurse, to police.
I don't think anyone could have imagined that we would have the entrenched secrecy and corruption and blatant disregard for child safety that we have across this state.
Tiffany was not alone. Her abuser had done the same to others at his workplace and elsewhere, while authorities had chances to intervene. Her report was one domino that led to the Commission of Inquiry into the Tasmanian government's responses to child sexual abuse in institutional settings. Their work ends this week.
We've been waiting for it for so long, but I'm equally fearful that it means it's the conclusion of the Commission and we don't have that independent oversight.
Across youth detention, out-of-home care, education, health and more, Tasmania's wretched past and present have been laid bare, thanks to those who spoke up.
I think this generation's really taking a stand. They're saying this is enough. We don't deserve a lifetime of trauma because the adults can't do their jobs properly.
The first place many Tasmanians learnt of the horrors happening here was on a podcast. Some said she should have stayed quiet, but Keely McMahon says speaking up has been empowering.
It's been a lot of learning about myself, learning about my trauma, learning how to live with trauma, and learning that I'm also not alone in all of this.
For many, the process has brought trauma back to the surface.
I never wanted to be known for this or as this person, and that does come with a heavy price, and it's a price that I continue to pay.
But behind the scenes, the Commission itself has also played a vital support role.
I cannot fault them. They have done amazing and they have worked so tirelessly over the last few years.
Many victim survivors and advocates still hold deep scepticism that change will come. Tiffany's own comments, read in Parliament, were mocked by ministers. Ashley Youth Detention Centre, the site of much abuse, won't close in the 3-year timeline set.
Building trust within a community that they have destroyed over numerous decades is going to take time. It is an entire cultural shift that they have to work on.
The Commission of Inquiry is not the finish line. It's a fork in the road. Tasmania can either fail the next generations of children, or it can commit to change and do the bare minimum, protect them from abuse.
All of these children matter, and the government need to realise that. They are not lost causes, they are not damaged children, they are not children who need to be punished for their trauma. They are children that need to be given the opportunity to grow up and become who they want to be.
They deserve nothing less. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
And if you or anyone you know needs help or this story has caused distress, contact the Sexual Assault Support Service on 1800 697 877. Rescuers have raced to pluck a kayaker from the river in Launceston after a midday paddle went badly. The dramatic scenes prompting a warning from surf lifesavers to take safety seriously on our waterways.
Desperately clinging on to any semblance of safety, a kayaker waits in bone-chilling water for help to arrive.
He was very cold, couldn't move his limbs really, so he must have been there a fair while.
Leaping into action and tearing across the water at Launceston's tail race, rescuers wrangled the man into their boat.
We got the policeman in the boat who was here and were able to get him on board.
So chilled, he needed to be carried onto dry ground. Waiting paramedics treated him there for hypothermia. According to a bystander who called 000, the man was in the water for around 40 minutes after falling out of his kayak. The boat ended up on shore, leaving its occupant in a precarious position.
He came out of the boat and couldn't get back in the boat. Apparently the craft blew in here, so all he could do was hang on to a buoy.
Worryingly, the rescued man wasn't wearing a life jacket. With the warmer months just around the corner, it's a timely reminder to take care whenever heading out onto the water. With current temperatures still too cold for anyone but seasoned and well-equipped swimmers.
PFD, right gear, you've got more chance. At least if you fall in the water, you've got a chance.
Annie Green, 7 Tasmanian News.
A new battleground is emerging in Tasmania's AFL bid, with the City of Hobart demanding the state government rule out building the team's high-performance centre in parts of the city. The Lord Mayor says the planned facility wouldn't fish and would also rob the city of valuable public space.
Barry Nelson has lived in Inner Hobart for more than 40 years. The Oval at Cornelian Bay, one of his favourite local spots.
We've got the bay, there's walking tracks, cycling tracks and this great open space.
With reports emerging it's being eyed off as our AFL team's headquarters, he's worried about the impact on the area.
Which would just totally obliterate this space.
The City of Hobart jumping into the fray. They moved a motion at last night's meeting, which called for the state government and Greater Hobart's councils to team up to find a suitable site. However, they want Cornelian Bay and the Domain ruled out of bounds.
Our initial advice from the staff is that we don't have a facility of the scale required.
The Lord Mayor rejecting suggestions they've jumped the gun, saying there's a need to protect public spaces from going private.
These are people places. These don't belong to me, the council, the state government, the AFL. These are public parks.
I haven't even seen the detail of what they're rejecting yet. Which is frankly bizarre.
The Premier says a selection process is being worked through, declaring the community won't be locked out.
Whatever the design and the construct of the High Performance Centre, wherever that may be, it will be a community facility.
The administration facility has to be built in close proximity to Hobart CBD, according to the licence agreement. However, there's no exact definition of what close proximity actually means. Glenorchy's mayor is interested but admits it's early days.
We haven't done the analysis as yet on any sites, and nor have we had any formal conversations.
Many hoping it doesn't turn into another political melee like Mac Point. John Hunt, 7 Tasmanian News.
The first tenants will move into a social and affordable housing development in Chigwell next month. When complete, 33 of the 55 properties will be added to the state's public housing stock, with affordable housing also spread across the site.
What we have been clear about is that we need to get the mixed tenure of these developments right. We know the problems that have come in the past from building broadacre developments that were specifically social housing only.
There's lots of green space around, open space for people to exercise, recreational facilities and close to services, so it's a fantastic location.
The government spent today visiting Hobart's northern suburbs, meeting with the Glenorchy Council as part of their regional cabinet program. The owners of one of Tasmania's largest and best-known dog breeding businesses have pleaded not guilty to 70 counts of breaching animal welfare regulations. Paul and Elizabeth Bartlett, along with Tasmanian Labradoodles, are accused of failing to ensure their females had fewer than 2 litters in an 18-month period. The couple will next face court in November. Police say they hold concerns for the welfare of a convicted Tasmanian conman after his abandoned car was found at Pawatina in the Central Highlands. 42-year-old Kane Dallow was last seen in the Launceston CBD yesterday afternoon. He was wearing camel-coloured pants, a grey hoodie and grey sneakers. Police are urging anyone with information about his whereabouts to come forward. Launceston's mayor is calling for more locals to roll up their sleeves and donate blood or plasma during a Lifeblood local government blood drive. A team from the City Council currently sit on top of the leaderboard and 13th in the national rankings. But with nearly 2,000 donors, the organisation says Launceston is lagging behind other population centres.
1 in 3 people will need blood in their lifetime and 3% of Australians donate. So the demand will always be there and we're always going to need new donors to join our panel.
I've donated both blood and plasma. It's always a bit of an interesting experience for me because having tattoos across the vein part of my arm, so that's always a little bit of fun as we look to go through that.
Lifeblood recently reduced the wait time for donors with new tattoos from 4 months to just 1 week. Metro and the state government have been accused of leaving hundreds of vulnerable Hobartians behind following the decision to axe multiple bus services last week. There are fears those who rely on commuting will struggle to attend work and appointments.
For Leon Chick and his family, getting their 29-year-old son Aidan to work just became a whole lot harder.
He's wanting to be more independent so that he can have a relationship with my wife and myself as parents as opposed to support people. And if he can't catch the bus, then he's in trouble.
Aidan is living with Down syndrome and is one of many who rely on getting a Metro bus into the city. Leon says cancelling some Metro services is an issue the government hasn't thought through, especially for people with a disability.
Now, not everyone has the internet or the app, and especially with people with disabilities, some of them haven't got the literacy skills necessary to do that.
It's a widespread issue many commuters have found themselves facing.
It means they can't look for work or access work, they can't go to appointments or take their children to school. There really needs to be greater investment in affordable public transport across this state.
Labor's calling on the state government and by extension Metro to provide some answers.
Is what engagement have they done with the disability community about these changes? And if they haven't done any, what are they going to do from here?
The Premier says he met with Metro today.
Do everything we possibly can to support public transport commuters on Metro, but most importantly, vulnerable Tasmanians and people with disability.
Metro says it's looking forward to commencing consultation with stakeholders and those living with a disability, and will develop a new accessibility and inclusion plan to provide services for all Tasmanians. Adding anyone who struggles to access information about bus services can visit the Metro shop. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
The ever-growing cost of living crisis is the major focus of this year's Tascos conference at Launceston Arena. A crowd of almost 200 leaders, industry experts and support services forming part of the two-day event. It comes at a critical time for the industry, with several factors affecting vulnerable Tasmanians.
Like workforce development, adequately funding community services, and also putting the voices of lived experience advocate at the centre of all the work that we do.
Today also featured a number of workshops, pop-up information sessions and speeches from advocates. A major international horn player has made a stop in Hobart as he prepares for a concert this Friday night alongside the Tasmanian Symphony Orchestra. Today, music students received some tips and tricks, securing the chance to play alongside the icon.
A rare visit from one of the musical greats.
I don't know, music is always touching something that you can't see, and if I reach some people with my music and give them some nice whatever feelings, I hope they don't hate it, that's wonderful.
German horn player Stefan Doer touched down in Hobart today. The first item on his agenda was a musical masterclass with some of the local Tasmanian Horn Club members and UTAS students. A major bucket list item for some.
I think he is really an embodiment of the German horn sound, being a principal horn of such an incredible orchestra.
He's also set to perform what's been dubbed as an unforgettable evening of music, alongside the Tasmanian Symphony Orchestra at the Federation Concert Hall on Friday night. And it's not just students hoping to catch a glimpse. Friday's event is expected to attract an audience from far and wide.
And while Stefan's here, obviously the entire musical community, which you can probably hear in the background, are here to take advantage of his presence.
Such a fantastic opportunity for them to work with a musician who's at the top of his game. He has such expertise in musicianship with both traditional repertoire and with contemporary classical repertoire.
An instrumental opportunity for the next generation of musical masters.
Performance experience is really fantastic, and to be building that in a sort of incremental way is very important.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
New Jack Jumpers recruit Anthony Drimmick says he's been blown away by the team's Northwest supporters who turned out in droves for last night's first pre-season match against Melbourne United. Import Jordan Crawford helped the Ants Army march home to a 79 to 63 point win in front of a packed Ulverston crowd.
Yeah, it's unreal. I mean, for a practice match to have a sellout is phenomenal. You know, I don't think many other places can get that done. So no, it was really enjoyable.
The Jackie is out in force today at a basketball clinic for Launceston children.
You know, the kids are going to bring lots of energy, and it's just a great opportunity to be up here and give them back and working with the community.
The Jack Jumpers will be hoping to go 2 from 2 tomorrow night at Elfin Stadium in Launceston. Caleb Jewell has shown off his batting skills in Australia A's Trans-Tasman clash. Starting the morning in the mid-60s, the Tasmanian was on fire early with a couple of boundaries, but his innings ended on 78 by a peach of a delivery from Brett Randall.
Randall in again, and he's bowled him through the gate, and with that angle coming back in from round the wicket.
Australia missing a chance to build a big lead, losing 6 for 93 to be bowled out for 263. It's set to be a nail-biting first round of Premier League hockey finals, with all matches predicted to go down to the wire. Canterbury and OHA will clash in the women's knockout semi-final. OHA have won all their encounters this year, but aren't taking their opponents lightly.
Definitely not underestimating them. They're a strong team, so yeah, taking each game as it comes.
It's anyone's game in finals, so we're pretty excited. Big opportunity for us to, go all the way.
In the men's, Derwent will play Canterbury in a cutthroat final. The reigning premiers missed out on a double chance by goal difference, and no, there's no room for error.
Top 4 teams are really competitive, and there's been a couple of draws, a couple of wins, a couple of losses against each of these teams throughout the season, so it really could go any way.
All finals will be played on Saturday afternoon. Good evening. Hobart 19 today, 16 the top for Launceston and Burnie, Devonport a high of 15. Temperatures over the Derwent Valley and southeast between 4 and 6 degrees above average. Hobart Airport the top with 21, Bushy Park 20, Friendly Beaches 19, Flinders Island and Grove 18 degrees, King Island and St Helens 17 and Strawn 16. Widespread cloud over the north and west, more patchy cloud elsewhere across the state. Now cloud to our east is associated with a trough, the cloud there extending across South Australia, Victoria and the Bight. Some convective cloud through northern New South Wales and further up the coast. We have a cold front due tomorrow ahead of a cooler southwesterly airstream, which is ahead of the next cold front, which will be ready to push over us late tomorrow. The wind shifting west-southwesterly at 20 to 30 knots, lighter over the upper east and inland lakes. Gale warning from southeast Cape to Low Rocky Point in force for tomorrow. A strong wind warning from Low Rocky Point to Wineglass Bay and from Tasman Island to southeast Cape. An initial minor flood warning for the lower North Esk River. Hobart expecting 15 with a shower or two tomorrow. Showers easing from Geeveston. Bothwell a top of 13 degrees. Launceston 17 with showers easing. Devonport 16, 15 the top for Cressy. Burnie, showers easing and 14, just 12 for Strawn. A windy day for Curry, a few showers easing later in the day, 13. 16 for St Helens, Swansea 15, Orford 15, all with a little bit of wet weather. On Thursday, frequent showers over the west and south, snow to 800 metres, isolated showers elsewhere, and the winds will pick up again. Fine and partly cloudy for most of us on Friday, patchy morning fog and frost to welcome in spring. And on Saturday, another cool start, followed by a fine day. A sunny, fine 24 in Perth. A shower for Adelaide and Melbourne, possible storms over Sydney and Brisbane, fine, warm and sunny further north. Bit showery in Hobart, 13 degrees right now, 13 in Launceston, fairly cloudy, a few showers over Devonport and currently 12 degrees. Kim, bit of a hurry, got to get dinner done and settled in for The Voice tonight, which raises this question. Jessica Malboy, is she a judge or a contestant on that show?
I'm glad you're watching. That is all we have time for this evening. Have a great night. Thanks for your company. For now, good night.